Hi, I'm sorry. Let me introduce you the theme of this month at GUI. We're exploring the value of connections and the intangible strengths that we can gain from connecting with nature to each other and to the physical realm, for instance, by taking action. So, connection has always been at the core of GUI's mission to connect people in our community with the earth, with each other, and with ourselves. 12 years ago, the quote that inspired our founder Lighthawk to establish Ground Up Initiative is one of the first conditions of happiness is that the link between man and nature shall not be broken. So this month, let's explore the different values and strengths that GUI has built over the last 12 years through connecting with Mother Earth, our ground-up partners, and supporters. So this afternoon, I am with me, Darren from Forest School Singapore, and we're going to share a bit about connecting people with the earth. So Darren, it's up to you now. Can you tell us a bit about Forest School and the school's philosophy?
My name is Darren. I am the principal coach of Forest School Singapore. So Forest School Singapore is started in 2016 officially, and we've been doing it for close to 5 years. We bring children as well as families and individuals to the woods to experience, to walk, to really connect with the environment as well as themselves, to be aware of what the environment is like, what their community is like, and as well as who they are.
What is the approach or practice that your school takes to engage children or your audience in nature?
So a typical Forest School day session is really defined by the environment, which is our tropical environment, our local land limited environment as well, as well as the personality, the community, the culture. We basically is adaptable. Forest School is adaptable to the space. So a typical Forest School session in Singapore, it has a lot of play involved, has a lot of play, a lot of unstructuredness and exploration. Majorly is because I think when we come to Singapore context, we have a very structured education system. We have a very structured approach towards learning and development. So I think when Forest School came into Singapore, it provided the balancing element. I would not say there's no structured learning, but it happens sporadically. Also, I think another key element that in our session that we have is the empowerment of choice. So all Forest School sessions are child-led. So children decide what they want to do, how they want to do, where they want to go. So during a typical day, right from the start of the day, they decide and discuss where they want to go for the day. And they all kind of have to agree on the location. And that kind of creates a space for a lot of negotiation, a lot of active listening, a lot of compromisation as well. So that's a very typical, two areas that is very typical of Forest School session.
Well, the interesting part is the child-led part of it, and then the environment provides the materials for the play to happen. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
yep. I think
yeah.
would add on that environment is the main teacher in that sense, because it's so child-led, structureless. A lot of times the adults do not provide that structure or provide that kind of curriculum per se, but nature provides all the curriculum for us.
Yeah. And in a sense, like I just had a thought that nature actually has structure on its own. Like right. There's a natural order of things that children can explore, and one thing leads to another because everything's connected in a system. The sensory experiences that people get, that the children get, is very important. Yeah, like as a farm educator at GUI, I also see the same thing. It's very stimulating for children to find out that there are coffee plants in GUI. Then they can open up the seed pod and see how the coffee beans look like. And other things like touching the blackface general leaf and then learning that it actually has cooling properties and it's good for your cleansing your stomach, for instance. Or just other things like you can touch and feel the lemongrass and the difference with citronella. So we also try to incorporate those like sensory experiences in
I mean, I love it that we have, I mean, it takes a village to raise a child, right? We have various ways and methods that, will kind of cover, at the end of the day, we all don't do everything, but we all do what we love and is
Mm,
passionate about. You
right.
guys do the farming. I know GUI, you guys do a lot of the farming part of things. Um, and then we do the forest wow and forest school childlike things. So, but in this whole, when we step back and look at the whole picture, I feel like what we do is all in the sense at the core connecting back to nature
Yeah.
for our communities. It's the different channels and ways that gets there. But it's all kind of, yeah, like I guess my mentor kind of like sum it up pretty well once. She said a lot of time the work that we do, especially people who are in the nature practitioner work that we do,
Mm,
what we do basically is to help people bring them to a space between the earth and the stars.
mm,
Yeah, so that's about it. I
yeah.
don't really clear out but that's about it. Which I find very nice. Yeah, that's basically what most of us are doing at the very core of it.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, lor. I would say that for us, it's very important, especially to have awareness of how our food comes from for children.
Mm,
You know, like
mm,
actually Singapore being in a tropical country, we have very ideal growing conditions for a range of crops across the year.
mm,
And
yeah.
the children being able to come to this, farm in the heartland, it means a lot to them to be able to see, to be able to harvest.
Isn't that there's a line that says what farm to plate or something like that?
Oh yeah,
There's
yeah.
a,
Farm to
right?
table, farm to plate.
Farm to table, yeah,
Yeah.
farm to table, farm to plate. Yeah, that line really struck me a lot because when I was in Malaysia doing a forest school, like giving a forest school training in Malaysia, KL, I met with a professor of agriculture. He mentioned this term called equilibrium,
Okay.
which I found very interesting. He said instead of sustainability,
Mm.
which he don't really agree, obviously, with his experience, he thinks of equilibrium. And in this sense, he mentioned that what we said, the farm to the table.
Mm.
So he said a lot of people do not see how that food comes to the table.
Mm.
So the appreciation and the consciousness of that equilibrium is not there. He said if more children and more individuals and community are able to see for themselves, experience for themselves how that food comes from the ground, from the soil to your table,
Mm.
then the level of consciousness to appreciate it will be higher. And when they live their life, not necessarily we have to live our life all vegan or all this kind of different uh, very environmental way lah, but the consciousness will change and that balance will be there after a while because people are able to connect with nature through their experience. Yeah, yeah. So I thought that was a very nice word.
It's like the 唐诗的谁知盘中餐，粒粒皆辛苦,
Yes.
As we were clearing first our rice crops in the backyard of GUI, which we sometimes try to have experimental rice crop growing so that children can see how rice looks like. But they are always devastated by pests because we don't use pesticides. Yeah, as we were clearing it, yeah, we were just saying, yeah, but it's still very important to try to have all these like experimental crops like corn, rice, that are actually very important part of diets. Yeah, we bring back to, when we had our introductory call, you shared some very interesting stories about magical waterfalls and boulders playground or durians having eyes.
Yeah. So I think the story that really caught me was in forest school as well was like the story like how fairy tale is created and people think fairy tale is just fantasy, but and a lot of time you see those fairy tales, they are in the forest, they are in the woods, and then the butterfly comes, the what comes, and it seems so surreal. But in forest school, it happens as well, which makes it really like it connects the dot for me, and I think it connects the dot for a lot of coaches and parents when they see it as well. When they see like butterflies just kind of gravitating and landing on the children or landing on them, and then the children just slow down, pause into reality. The whole world like slows down, and everybody just watches this beautiful blue bottled butterfly just landing on the shoe, and then maybe because the shoe got lost, I don't know, food or smell, but it was just that magical moment of them observing slowing down, and you see all these rowdy and energetic kids just kind of slow down for that moment. Is just very beautiful, and also like we see even more mystical and magical moment were like times where, because we have this thing where every time children ask us, oh, can we pick this, can we take that, we don't tell them exactly what they can or cannot do, but we ask them, when you enter somebody's house, you ask permission. When you take somebody things, you ask permission. So we are in the woods, which belongs to the woods. The permission should be asked from the woods themselves, the trees, the plants. So even when they want to pee, they ask permission to pee. Typical. We all learn that in the woods, and they do that. I remember one of my kid ever, like 4-year-old child, turned to me, asked me, "Oh, I need to go pee." And I was like, "Okay, you can go behind the tree, go to the tree, but yeah, ask the tree for permission to do your business there." Then the boy turned around to face the tree, and then for like a good 2-3 seconds, then he turned around to me, and he said, "I asked her already. She said okay." I was like, "Her," even though it's a her. Okay, so it was like he really did connected. He really did ask, and it was not like a play thing. It was really, that moment was connected with that tree, and therefore he turned around and answered me. It was really like a person really go and ask somebody lah. So and he went about to do his business, which I felt for a very brief moment. I felt that was different. That's really connecting. So those are moments of connecting that, I mean, not necessarily all connection. I always tell people, not necessarily all connection are sitting there with a meditation and then like holiness zone into this realm. Sometimes for children especially, their connection is simple, really simple. Playing, touching, like what you guys do is a sensorial, or following them, or even just wanting to receive a rambutan from the tree. So when you share that, I thought of this story of a fig tree that is in Hindidi Nature Park. And we have session there last time, and I remember the class was the Wildcat Wednesdays, I think, in a long time ago. And my kid, Jun Sheng, yeah, and Jun Yan, they were in the class and they wanted to pick up this little fig fruits that from the tree. So they pick up, and then it kind of, there isn't in, like, it's empty lah. Basically, the area is, the fig is not there anymore. They have picked up whatever they can. So now they wanted more as well. So they turned to the tree. They asked me how. Then I said, you ask the tree. In a sense, I really mean it. You ask the tree, maybe if the tree will drop, then good for you. So they turned to the tree and they asked, "Can I have some fig?" They put their hands out like that, and yeah, then suddenly one fig pop drop. Okay, maybe coincidence, fine. I mean, I'm a doubt, okay. So, but I was just observing, and I do thank the tree, of course. And then Jun Yan came around. So Jun San is the elder brother. Jun Yan came around and she was like, "Can I have fig as well?" Then pop, drop again. So every time they wanted, they went there to ask, the fig drops as well. And maybe people will say it's coincidence. I mean, if you are there the whole day and you see the same thing happening for 3 to 4 times, I don't find it very coincidental. I find it very intentional in that interaction between the tree and the child. So there is that connection as well, straight away from that moment. And sometimes that's why I think when the kids ask us, we're like, okay, you want, you go and ask. If that organism wants to give you, he or she would. And that's what you get. Yeah. So I thought that was very, very mystical, magical, almost like fairy tale.
Yeah, I would say that actually the children that I've seen in GUI, and the one time that Forest School brought your children over, I mean, I'm still quite a young volunteer. When I saw you guys at a sprouting seed, Pesta Kampong, the event, I thought those children are like the happiest children I've seen.
I think kids who grow up with exposure to nature are just more aware. They may not be the best. I'm not saying everybody's not necessary, but I think they're more aware. And when they make choices, they know there are consequences. I feel they are more like responsible in the sense they may make stupid things and they may still make mistakes and they still may be an idiot. Sometimes their parents will agree with me. But we love them for who they are. They are very authentic throughout the whole way. That whatever mistake they make. And I think ourselves as adults around them, we learn from them as well. We realize, yeah, we can be ourselves as well. We don't need to be that morally upright teacher or that perfect teacher or parents when we see our children being themselves as well. Yeah. The past 2 years has been very, I've been going deeper into understanding how the indigenous tribes around the world as well as in Singapore works. So the very famous tribes around the world will probably be like the Australian Aboriginals, the Red Indians in America, and it's only when I was like, oh, very interested in this kind of stories and the knowledge and being exposed to some of this narrative as well as individuals who are from the community, I realized there's a very deep level of wisdom that they understand that we, in our urban world, because of our disconnection, we kind of are stuck with understanding that wisdom. It's a bit far from us. I was going deep into the local indigenous wisdom. So our local one is Orang Lawuts. Within the Southeast Asia region, there's usually Orang Aslis. So Orang meaning people, and Asli meaning forest. So Orang Asli is the people of the forest. And then Lawuts, I think, is the seafaring people. So basically, all these people are named based on the place they stay in or the place they move around. So that level of connection they have with nature is very, very strong and very, very deeply connected. So they understand a lot of the rhythms of nature. So the indigenous knowledge then came to me furthermore and more, and things like how indigenous people do not farm in our tropical countries. They don't farm but they don't farm because nature provides a lot, and you guys would understand through your farming, like the amount of plants and fruits food that we can grow in our local context due to our temperature and basically almost like one season throughout the whole year kind of sun and all. The way plants grow are very rapid here and they regenerate very quickly. The fruits regenerate quickly as well. So they told me like the forest is like our fridge. So we don't really go and farm. We just go and take. But we take in a sense in balance. They do not take too much. They take what they need and that's it. So they learn how to be, in a sense, they are minimalistic. All the environmental movement and ecological values are all embedded in their lifestyle already. So I was like, oh, maybe when we want to proceed towards more conservation movement and all that, maybe we should look at the indigenous people and their ways and use their knowledge and wisdom, apply them. It may actually serve people better.
I agree. Yeah, I also did a bit of reading now when I was like in university, like how the people who live along our rivers, they actually call themselves by the river. So like Orang Selita, Orang Kalang, obviously, Kalang River or like Selita River. And the Orang Selita, they actually they resisted moving to HDB, so instead they moved across the straits to live in Johor.
Yeah, to Johor, right?
So actually, a lot of them they used to live in Singapore. And then I think another story I want to share, which I came across when I was writing my essay, the one about chili crabs, is this guy called Akyang. He's like one of maybe the last few like crab catchers in Pulau Ubin. So he's not
that guy, yes.
He's not like indigenous. He's not Orang Asli, but because he has had so many years of catching crabs in the mangrove forest, that he just naturally knows. If it is a pregnant, he just throws back. If it's too young, he throws back. Yeah. Yep. So there's wisdom in that also because we have done it for so long. Yeah. So there's a lot of wisdom to look back in history and to look back in indigenous knowledge. Actually, it's the same. Indigenous are smart because they look at history and they remember. Actually, my follow-up question, right, from just now, that what I asked you about what we can learn from indigenous people is that because majority of us are immigrants, children of immigrants, third, fourth, fifth generation. So how can we develop a relationship with the land here?
Mm. I think first thing I would say, first step lah, the most basic step is for people to look up into the sky. Like look up into the sky. That is the one thing that is covering all of us of sort lah, right? But look up to the sky and see what you see in the sky, the clouds in the sky, the sun or the moon or how blue is it or how white is it every day. Things like that is the start of learning about the land. Because once you start looking up, you start looking around. And once you start looking around, I feel that all of us will start to notice things. Even you don't have to go to the forest. No need to go to the forest or the beach or what. Just downstairs your house when you go buy a lunch or when somebody goes buy lunch or dinner or just go downstairs for a jog or walk. Yeah, I mean, obviously don't look at the phone, don't look at us. Don't watch our video when you're walking. But yeah, I think just being aware and looking around, and you start to notice the squirrel and how many animals are there, what's the timing of the animals there. I believe more of us know what time the koel, which is that one bird that some people don't like, that will call, they will call out a certain timing around your house area. Yeah, so we all know what time they call. So these are the things that once you are like very conscious of it, right, it becomes connection straight away to you and nature. And people, every one of us, and nature as well. So I think those are little steps. The rest, going to step in the forest, hike, all that, that's personal choice.
I think for GI, maybe I just share, it's quite interesting that sometimes MPAC do like this group that connects people who want to volunteer with like non-profits like us. They would bring like citizens, like new citizens to volunteer with GI because I think you must complete some hours. So these people are like what? New immigrants from like India and China, all over the world, like, but mostly Asia. And I think it's very interesting to see them, saw them returning because they connect to the land through their labor. And it's for them it's a very tangible way to start thinking roots literally in Singapore because they get to meet our farmers, they get to meet our volunteers, and at GUI we really don't see age, don't see color, don't see language. We just do together, eat together. So that's our side.
I was in GUI. I went to volunteer with GUI as well previously, and I do see that. I think it just kind of, when we are, because nature is inclusive, nature herself is the most inclusive or the perfect inclusive element on earth. So when we connect, when we do our work and with all the nature in our life and in the work that we do, with all the nature involved there, I think we also learn a lot of how to be inclusive with our communities. I mean, we are not perfect, definitely, but learning from nature and having her support, therefore, allow us, as you guys at GUI, we at Forest School, and I believe a lot of other groups as well, allow us to support our community in that sense as well. I feel. I think that's really very nice. I mean, I was GUI, some side
Why?
Everybody comes together. Like everybody comes together at GUI, in a sense, when you're there. And I feel what I like about the place as well is when I'm there last time, and I believe now as well, is you're free to go as well. Your time is there, your time is right. When you're done with that time with GUI and that commitment, all that, you're not expected to like hold on to that kind of obligation to stay on and all that. So you come in and go out, and the space is there because the space is nature as well. So I think that's what makes it unique in that flexibility of people moving in and out, feeling they're ready or not. Some people come once, but maybe 2 years, 3 years later, then they come more often. So I love that about GUI. That's what.
So do you have a favorite space in GI, like a spot that you enjoy?
Me, I have. I think so I don't know if the rest know, but I've stayed over at GUI quite a few times before. Yeah, because I think Pesta Kampong that time I stayed over because I stay West Coast, right? So GUI is at Khatib. And it takes me about 1.5 hours to get there, 1.5 hours to get back. So on public transport lah. So for me, I just kind of think I went GUI. I think it's a nice place, I just need a place to lie down to sleep, right? So I asked for permission, and then they gave me the key. I just hang out there and sleep on, and the next day can get back to things easier lah. It was very comfortable space. So I personally like the backyard, especially near the Mimosa area. Sometimes I stay over, I can just go over there, sit down there, and just look at the stars and all that, and just because at night nobody really stay around there, so very quiet. But I guess on the daytimes and all that, I like the space that is between that wooden plank, I forgot what they call it, that wooden plank place outside the training room. There's this training room, and then there's a wooden plank with I think the rambutan tree is there as well. There's a rambutan tree there.
The training room, meaning headquarters side?
Yeah, headquarters, the training room. Then beside there's this wooden plank area.
Is it touchwood? No.
No. So the training room, then you have the wooden plank. Then after that, you go past the field of corns and then touchwood. So there's this, I don't know what you call it, balcony of wooden plank. Very
sunflower building.
Near there.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are the little area I feel.
Oh, the wooden plank. Oh, okay, the wooden platform with like the rambutan tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're thinking one plank.
Yeah. I was thinking a few planks, but yeah, that's a platform. Yeah.
Those are areas. Yeah. Yourself, eh?
I like the Watergate the most. Both the Watergate, the old Watergate.
Watergate. Where? Which one?
In the stream.
Okay.
You know where Ping Yu took the wedding photos?
Oh, I never see
near the house.
Okay, the stream, right? I know the stream.
Yeah, the stream.
So it's further down the stream.
So the stream near the wooden house. Near the wooden house, there's this gate now. But the gates are always open. Yeah, there's a bridge. Yeah, over the Watergate. I like that entire thing. I like the bridge, the gate, the stream. Yeah, the kind look. It's just nice. And of course, I like the stream. I think a lot of people in GI likes the stream. It's very special. The way we can wash our tools there after cleaning, the way we can just reflect, meditate there, or we can just walk there. Yeah.
The stream is nice. But I mean, in recent years, because of a lot of construction around our area, I heard like the stream is affected as well.
Yeah, right? Well, last year was very, very badly affected, but recently it's better. I don't understand why. Maybe construction has stopped for a while. And the rain is heavier now also lah. So yeah.
Washes everything. Yeah.
Maybe you want to share like one final story, or do you want to share like one advice for parents who want to start letting their child engage in play in nature?
I guess I'll do both if you don't mind. Yeah, if you have time, I don't mind. I guess the last story I'll share is something that is close to the heart of Singapore, which is the story of the durian.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people like durians in Singapore, and we have a forest space in forest school that has like 400 durian trees that will fruit and comes out during the June, July, or December season. And then depending on heng sui and what the weather is like, then you will see whether there's fruits or not. There's the durian inside. So but in the jungle, there's always this myth and stories told by a lot of elders, which is durians have eyes. And what they mean is, because the durians, you can't pluck durians only fall, then we pick them up. So because of that, durians, when they fall, and if you're in the forest, people have the idea that there's a risk of you hit the durian hitting your head. But the elders in the forest for many, many years have always said, if you're not a bad person,
Yeah.
The durian will not hit you. So like, oh, okay, it's very, very, when you're a kid,
Reassuring.
yeah, and when you're a kid, the parents will tell you this kind of thing as well. So the elders shared with me about it, and I kind of believe in it as well. I have a sense of trust in the forest. So, but it was really quite an eye opener to see it for yourself when we are in the forest. For 4 to 5 years in the forest school, all these various durian forests, we have not had an incident of a durian hitting a child. And one of them was the story of in 2018 December. We had a camp, and during the camp, one of the kids was standing under 4 durian trees. Okay, the 4 durian trees, and then the kid was like in the middle, just with the other kids playing. And it was durian season. That particular season was a bumper durian harvest, so there was a lot of durians falling. So the kid was there, and then I was watching the child, and suddenly we hear a snap from the durian tree. It was the branch broke, and then it dropped. So it was the durian branch. It was a tree branch, quite thick, you know, as well as I think 3 to 4 durians on the branch that fell.
Okay.
So they all fell all over the child,
Yeah.
but not a single one hit or touched the kid.
Mm.
And the kid was unfazed even after the incident. It doesn't even feel anything. Myself and another coach was watching it, and we kind of just turned around and said thank you to the tree. And we know what's going on. You almost feel like there's a force field over the child during that moment. And so yes, the story do ring sense. But what happened next was what really kind of reinforced what the elder says. Okay, so because we during that particular camp as well, we have a durian that fell, and then when it drops to the ground, when it dropped to the ground, it bounced and kind of scratched a kid's calf area. I mean, during husk, right, sharp area, scratch. It didn't bleed, like just a scratch on the child's leg after it dropped on the floor. So for a brief moment, myself and the coach was like, "Hey, how come leh? I thought the elders say this statement, right? You're supposed to not only that and that kid." But when we reflected post session on what happened that day, in particular with the boy as well and his behavior incident on that day, we realized why. So what happened was this boy, during the session, because a lot of our forest school children change their clothes in the forest after playing and dirty and all that. So the girls will go to behind a tree and all that to change. And during the session, some of the boys, younger boys, 7 years old, 6 years old, were like went up and then trying to disturb their sister and kind of thing. So they went ha 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 ha. But they were just there, and the girls were not uncomfortable. So in forest school, it's always about personal boundary. Right? So anytime anybody is uncomfortable, that's where you cross their boundaries, you respect their boundaries, etc. So the boys went up, and then they came down and went back to their place. So they were not, having any purpose or ill intent. But what happened next was this particular boy, he was about 9 years old. So he went up and then he was looking at them for a good period of time, about 5 to 10 minutes, I think. And the girls were uncomfortable though. So they told him, go away. But he stood there still. So as a coach, obviously, this is where we as the adult have to intervene. So as a coach, obviously, we see something is not right. So I told the boy to come down. But the boy didn't want to come down. So I have no choice but to do the teacher things, the teacher moment, which is to raise my voice and kind of order him down from that spot. And then did. So after that, I spoke to him and I said, why, if would you like if somebody looking at your sister like that, blah blah blah, and then have a discussion with him. So to make sense. And of course, after that, we spoke to the dad. The dad told us, yes, he has been showing similar signs at home. In watching his sister. So I told her that, yeah, probably he's in that phase where he's, sexually, aware, and he needs to get some, sex education, etc. The conversation, and I guess the family has to handle that as well because it was a camp. If it's a regular week kid, then probably we will do more as well with the child to discuss, to develop understanding of what it means. It's a natural thing of our body. So yeah, all that And on that day itself, the durian scratched his leg. He did not scratch other his leg, he scratched his leg in particular. So yeah, it's still it's like the myth and the rule that the elders said still stand based on that logic lah. Yeah. So this is one of the, I think, highlight story, right? Even when I went to MOE for conference sharing with the MOE teachers, I share with them this as well. Have to ask the kids first. When if our children wants to, and you go with their feel and instinct, and you won't go wrong. Because sometimes it's not right, it's not time yet to go to the go into the outdoor connection, nature connection, after having such huge inertia of not being connected. But maybe when, I would say, like, sometimes parents themselves are interested and they go, the kids may want just to follow them. That's how it happens. But if the parents themselves are not a big fan of the outdoors or greens and nature, sorry?
Yeah, I think that's the hard part with the parents themselves.
Yeah. So if they're not, it's fine, and they want their kid to go, it's fine as well. Have that conversation, encourage them as well. I mean, it's always discussion. I don't believe in forcing anybody to go. You discuss, get them to try. They like, great. They try, they don't like, make another choice. Because forest school, nature is for everyone, yes. But at your right time and your right readiness. When you're ready and when the time is right, that's it. Yeah. So I think parents have to realize these two things, like readiness and timeliness, because everybody is different. It's not about age. Yeah.
So nature is the right teacher only if you're ready to listen, observe, be present now.
Yep.
Okay. Final question is, what's the importance of connecting to nature in this time of COVID?
What's the importance of
connecting with nature in time of COVID?
Wow, that's a heavy question. I think COVID-19 himself or herself is not necessarily a bad thing. I think when there's this narrative that brands COVID-19 as the enemy, I think that's where we are disconnected with nature.
Right.
So I think, I feel like COVID-19 gives us a chance to be aware of our connection with nature, our connection with ourselves.
Yeah.
And so connecting with nature during this COVID-19 time, if you ask me, I say it's probably the most important thing to do. I disagree with we need to recover the economy, we need to recover this, we need to, of course, health and safety, yes, but all the economy and everything, I feel is missing the point that COVID has tried to prove to us. In the 3 months that we are at home, I mean, if you look around ourselves and in ourselves, there's a lot of things that, that we pay attention to during those 3 months that we don't pay attention to if we do the old ways of things. And I feel like connecting with nature during this COVID-19 time will probably be the one thing that will save us from future, our existential crisis.
Right. Yeah. When you say that, it really strike something in me. So I think that we shouldn't brand it as the enemy. Yeah, because then we will resist it and what it presents to us as lessons. Yeah. Because as you said, it's a time for us to learn that our destruction of environment has actually led us to be more susceptible to these kind of diseases that are first animal born and then transfer to us. So,
yeah.
And then the second thing is we have to take this time to look within. Yeah, because everything that matters to us, our society, our families, and our economies, all have to happen within ecological boundaries. Yeah, and there's no human civilization without ecological boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think agree.
Final word. Yeah, please go ahead.
Final word. Like I said, it takes I still use the forest school line, which I believe in since I was educated. It takes a village to raise a child. So I hope everybody watching this, it's not necessary for anybody to agree with all of us, whatever we say, or whatever we think or share. It's great to be disagreed even and have that perspective because it takes a village to raise a child. And we need that range of perspective to actually continue existing together. Not necessarily all the time in harmony, but we are able to kind of have that openness. I think that will make a very big difference, especially in Singapore with our current election now almost.
Yeah. Consensus building and negotiation, right? Rather than majority rules.
Yeah.
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 Okay, thank you so much, Darren.
Thank you, Xiaoyin. Thank you.
This is your online audience. All right. Take care and tune in
Okay.
IRL.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.